Today I'm going to show how to gain access to the outer door interior and install sound deadening material in a 2022 Elantra N. I will also go over the benefits of installing sound deadening material to the doors of the Elantra N. If you watched my previous trunk sound deadening video, you'll notice I'm using the same material for the doors as I used for the trunk. I chose to use 50 mil thick sound deadening material by Silas over 80 mil because I wanted to dampen the doors but add as little weight as possible. Begin by removing the front door panel. For a step-by-step guide on how to remove the door panel, I will have a link to my front speaker install video in the video description below. Next, unplug the side mirror plug from the top corner of the door. The wire is held in place by a plastic push pin. I did not want to risk breaking the pin, so I cut the tape holding the wire to the pin. When reinstalling the wire, I put new tape around the push pin. Move down to the lower half of the door and remove the two small rubber grommets. Once removed, these two holes will give you access to the two window bolts that must be removed before the door skin can be separated from the door. To be able to see the bolts, you'll need to roll the window down until you can see the bolts in the holes. Since the door panel has been removed, you'll need to hook the door panel back up to roll the window down. Once you see the bolts, unhook the door panel and using a 10mm socket, remove the bolts. After the bolts have been removed, hook up the door panel and roll the window all the way up. You will need the window mechanism separated from the window in the fully down position. To do this, you need to hold the window in place in the fully up position. Use painter's tape or masking tape to hold the window in place, then hook up the door panel for the last time and move the window mechanism all the way down. Now that the window mechanism is separated from the door skin, you can unhook the door's wiring harness that is attached to the side of the car. To remove the harness, use a flathead screwdriver or trim removal tool and pull up on the top of the harness. This will detach the harness from the car. You'll need to close the door slightly to remove the tension on the harness so it can be completely detached from the car. After the harness has been detached, unscrew the 9 10mm bolts around the perimeter of the door skin. Before removing the bolts, you can remove the speaker if you would like to add sound deadening material over the door skin behind the speaker. If not, removing the speaker is not necessary. I removed the door latch wire from the door skin. This can be done by simply pushing the grommet through the door skin and then pushing the door latch wire through the hole. Before you can push the wire through the door skin, you'll need to pull the panel towards you using a flathead screwdriver or trim removal tool. Insert the tool in between the panel and the white bracket holding the panel in place. As you pry up on the white bracket, slide the door skin towards the car. This will separate the door skin from the door. There is a wire looped on the white bracket that will need to be removed. You can remove the wire with your fingers. At this point, you can push the door latch through its hole. Finally, there is a wire harness located by the white bracket that needs to be unplugged before the skin will separate from the door completely. I did not do this as I was able to just put the panel to the side and work on the door without completely detaching it from the door. Now that we have access to the inner part of the door, it's time to install the sound deadening material. First, clean the metal with alcohol. Next, apply the material. I chose to apply the material in squares rather than covering the door completely. You do not have to use heat for this material, but I chose to use a hair dryer and add heat to ensure maximum adhesion to the metal. After applying heat, I used a roller to roll the material onto the metal. The inner door area is approximately 6 square feet. I installed about 3.5 square feet of material using 1 1/3 sheets. This added a little over a pound to the door. After you are satisfied with the amount of sound deadening material that has been added to the door, you can reverse the steps of removing the door skin and reattach the door skin to the door. Reattach the door skin, slide the door latch wire back through the hole that it came out of. Then, slide the door skin back onto the white bracket. Make sure to reattach the wire back to the loop on the white bracket. Then, push the main wire harness through the door. Install the 9 10mm bolts to hold the door in place. Reattach the main wire harness to the car. Then, move on to reattaching the window to the window mechanism. The door panel will need to be hooked up again a few times to be able to roll the window mechanism up and down. First, roll the window up until the mechanism touches the window. Remove the tape and slowly roll the window down until you see the bolt holes lined up in the two grommet holes. You may need to use your hand to help stabilize and push the window down along with the mechanism. Reinstall the bolts and roll the window back up. Finally, install the rubber grommets, reattach the side mirror wire plug, and make sure the door latch grommet is back in place. A tip to reattach the window: there are two brackets that hold the window in place, a plastic bracket and a metal bracket. The metal bracket is made up of two pieces. It is possible that the rear piece could fall down a bit when you're trying to screw the bracket back to the window. If this happens, you'll need to use something angled like an Allen key to push the back of the bracket up and bring it closer towards you, so the screw will go into both metal pieces. I had this happen to me on the driver's side, but not on the passenger side door. As you'll see in the video, I did not install any sound deadening material on the door skin. I did this because of the type of material the skin is made out of and the fact that there's very little flat surfaces. Also, I installed just a few pieces on the outer door skin, mainly on a few of the flat areas and the door pocket. If you want to go the extra mile and decrease as many rattles as possible, you can wrap each door clip with Tesa or fabric tape to stop them from moving. Finally, hook up the door latch and door switch harness and reinstall the door panel. Here are two clips of how the door sounded before adding sound deadening material and what it sounded like after the material was installed. My impressions of the benefits of adding sound deadening to the front doors. Before I added the material, the Focal speakers I had installed sounded good, but didn't have a lot of mid-bass, which made them sound a bit hollow. With the sound deadening material installed, I noticed a gain in mid-bass and actually a cleaner sound. Also, the sound seemed more isolated inside the car. I would compare it to moving home speakers from a larger room to a smaller room. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe for more content.